Thank you, Anita. Real pleasure to be here and talk you through this talk. So I'm just going to start with some introductions. So I'll go first before handing over to John. So my name is Manny Gill. I am a partner success manager at PMI, the Project Management Institute. Essentially, my role is to work with organizations and work with them to improve their chances of successful projects, in essence. And we do that through many different ways, which we can touch on as we go through this presentation. So I'll hand over to John for an intro.
Thank you. I'm John Grimshaw. I'm the Director for Professional Development for the PMI UK chapter. And my job is to make sure that everyone who is doing project management in the UK is the best possible project manager that they can be. They have all the tools and skills and training that we can possibly provide to make that happen. I'm also head of the mentoring program for PMI UK, where we pair mentors and mentees from totally different areas to help grow and develop the skill set within the UK project management industry. So that's me.
Perfect. Thank you, John. Okay, so let's dive straight into it. So developing your skills for a brighter future. Okay, so the outline of the talk today, we're going to start off by just quickly touching on what is project management. We're going to talk about who we are. Then we're going to go into top 10 skills you need. We'll be taking a quick look at the learning journey. We'll leave you with something to get you started. Okay, so firstly, what is project management? So if we start off by firstly defining what projects are. So projects are temporary efforts to create value through unique services, processes, and products. All projects have a beginning and an end, a key point. They have a team, a budget, a schedule, and a set of expectations the team needs to meet. So what is project management? So project management is the use of specific knowledge, skills, tools, and techniques to help create and deliver the service, process, or product of value to people. So it's often thought of that project management is something potentially boring. So maybe related to a finance project or something you're working on in an IT world. But actually projects are all around us. And we put together this slide to help you contextualize what we see, especially here in the UK, which involve heavy amounts of project management. So if you look up in the top right hand corner, we have ASOS, which is really popular in terms of what people are purchasing at the moment. That involves all of the project management to firstly create that e-commerce platform, all of the logistics involved with getting those goods out to consumers. We also have Rolls-Royce, a big manufacturer, both in the aerospace and in the automotive. Also things like British Red Cross and the COVID vaccination service. So to get all of those things off the ground and to deliver those projects that the world's need, that ultimately involves a lot of project management. There's also festivals, something that I love to go to myself. The planning that goes into putting these festivals up is intense. It's usually in under short deadlines, and a lot of those skills that we will talk about in the talk today are fundamental to provide a great experience on the day. Some other pieces in there: Wimbledon, the awards, so the BAFTA awards, the Brit Awards, and something that is literally something I take every week is the brand new Elizabeth line, which had its challenges, but ultimately now provides a great service. Okay, so moving on. So who are we? So we are Project Management Institute. We have over 1.6 million certifications worldwide. We operate globally. We support projects and individuals and organizations in over 214 countries and territories. We have over 700,000 active members. We have 14,000 volunteers, and John's going to talk to you about that a little bit later. And we have over 308 chapters. Okay, so here's a quick flavor of the things that we do as PMI. So if you look over in the left, it says where we learn with. So up there is our talent triangle. So this is our core way of categorizing the training that we provide and the upskilling skills. So there's power skills, which are traditionally known as soft skills, but we like to place real importance on them. So these are all the human aspects. There's ways of working and business acumen. We have our standards, we have social media, we have a podcast, we do thought leadership. We have our globally recognized certifications. We'll talk to you about this later on in the talk. We also do a lot of volunteering and mentoring opportunities. Again, John will talk you through this. Finally, then, the way that we connect is via our council. So this is for our member organizations, via PMI membership. So this is for individuals to join online and access tools and templates and many more things. And then we have our chapters, which leads me nicely on over to John, who's going to talk to you about the great things we do in the UK chapter.
Yeah. So as you can see on this sheet, we have our certification study groups. This is a group that we have set up to help new members of the Project Management Institute to gain certification in a professional way, which it's there are study groups out there that you can join and join with a group of people from right across the spectrum, but we have very specific ones to help build the network within the Project Management Institute. We also have mentoring, which is where I really come into my own. We currently have 177 mentors and mentees within the UK chapter, where we try and pair people on wants and needs. So, for instance, I'm in, as you can possibly see, I'm in the manufacturing environment, but if I wanted to switch into IT, I would want a mentor from an IT background that has already done the switch from manufacturing into IT. Myself and my volunteer team would help to support that move to make sure that you have the right person at the right time to get you through that 6-month program of works to move you from where you are to where you want to be. We also run a lot of AI has obviously been in the news for the past 2 years with ChatGPT. We have just released our first GPT. I forget what they call the mini chats or GPTs, which is a project management professional training program. So you sign up, you get your chat, you answer a few questions, and the system learns areas that you're strong, areas that you're weak, and helps tailor the questions to build you in your weak areas to get you past your PMP certification, but all done by AI. But we also do lots of in-person meetings to discuss not just AI, but a lot of different areas when it comes to the project management profession. Again, all over the UK, we've got some in Aberdeen, some in London, some in the Northwest. They're everywhere at these events on totally different subjects, so anything that could suit your needs. And this year we have just joined in, the PMI UK chapter have just joined in with our Global Women in Projects initiative. Because on average in any technical industry you are looking at around about 17% females in any technical profession roughly, and we are building female empowerment throughout the project management life cycle so that you've got a group that you can go to, learn from, and grow and develop in a male orientated profession. And that is now, so it started in Germany 2 years ago. This year there were 5 chapters involved. Next year I think we're up to about 8 to 10 chapters all across Europe to start with some Asian countries also joining in. And that is really driven by our German chapter. So you can see we have our UK people, but we are also spread all through Europe as well. So we're not limiting ourselves to just the UK knowledge base in that area. So that's me on this front. It's not just this. I'm talking about professional development because that's my area of expertise, my wants and needs. But we also have lots of different areas that we work in. We have a massive volunteering group, which I'll get into soon, which spreads across IT, planning. So we've got a massive event coming up soon that we are using our volunteers to plan for as well. So we'll get into that a little bit later, I believe.
Perfect. We will. Thank you, John. Right, so we're going to take you through the top 10 skills as recommended by Pierre Lehmann, who is our CEO. So this post was put together to help people in identifying what key skills are needed to help you with employability and also to help with your career development. So we'll go with one by one, and we'll try to contextualize and give some real life examples. So I'll start off with the first one, which is communication. So for me, this is probably my most important one that I look for. I wholeheartedly believe that great communication skills can not only help you in your professional development, but also in your personal development. Communication is also important to remember that it's not just about what you are saying. Being concise is also really helpful, but actually communication is a lot down to your listening skills. And when we're talking about listening skills, it's also about your active listening. So being able to listen to someone and really take that information on board quickly is really important. Even things now like being able to summarize a conversation you've had in a meeting. How can you transfer that information into something that's easily readable and transferable? The better you can make, the better you can process information, and the better you can help information flow across your teams is only ever going to benefit you. That's the first one. Next one is leadership. So leadership skills are, again, a massive part of your professional development. It doesn't necessarily mean that you have to be the big boss, but you can display signs of leadership in everything that you do, in every project that you work on. For me, a key point here to remember is that leadership skills are not always and often not things that you develop in the workplace. And there are many ways that you can develop leadership outside of the workplace. For example, you may belong to a local sports club. You may belong to a local community initiative. These are all ways where you can be part of the team and really pick up and hone your leadership skills. Number 3, visualization. So again, this is a really big one for me. I feel, and I've actually experienced in my career, that the ability to take a complex issue and even put it onto a flip chart, or use things like the Microsoft Office tools, even PowerPoint, anything like that you can to visualize, will really help in understanding a complex problem. It also allows people to find a common ground on an issue, because people have their own perspectives of a particular challenge, and actually visualizing that and getting everyone to agree on how they see that is really important. So visualization is another key point here. And then last one for me before I hand over to John. So risk management. Risk is a huge growth area for PMI in terms. So we have a particular training and certification under risk. And what we found is that post-COVID, the popularity of this certification is growing massively in the with the organizations that I speak to on a day-to-day basis. They're all talking about risk management and trying to find ways where they can better manage risk. And when you think about risk management, it's really important to not think of it in necessarily a negative way. A risk can also be very good for an organization. In fact, I was listening to a Diary of a CEO podcast earlier today, and it was a man who followed Elon Musk, and he was talking about how within his organizations that he works with, he has to have an element of 20% projects that are at risk. For him, that's a kind of healthy rate in order to drive innovation. So important to remember that risk management is not always about identifying something and then running away from it, but it's something that you can definitely work with. So over to you, John, for the next 5 skills here.
So data literacy, this is becoming more and more important as we move into a more technological age. The ability to access information, manipulate data, and then present that using the meaningful insights that you would get from it to an audience is going to be critical. Again, every business is run on Excel, so being able to power that data and distribute it through a business is, like I say, it's a key skill for the next, 20, 30 years. So that's data literacy. Intellectual curiosity is something that we speak about a lot here at my company, because everyone who works for the Project Management Institute almost is a volunteer. So I have a full-time job as well. And some of our staff love being told exactly what to do, but none of our problems can be solved by one person knowing everything. Everyone has to be able to learn information, forget that information as new information becomes available, and then learn more and do more. Again, what was the statistic that 30 years ago, your degree information lasted you a career. Now that is only 5 years. So what you learn at university is out of date within 5 years. So you have to be able to learn, grow and develop in totally different areas as you move through your career.
Very true.
Stress management. Coming from a project environment, Manny was just saying that 20% of your projects have to be at risk. Unfortunately, I'm at around 35%. So managing the stress of handling that on a day-to-day basis is one of the key skills. There is nothing worse than getting to a point where you are burnt out because you are handling too much. So being able to practice it in the workplace, but also not take that stress home with you. Again, training, development and growth in this area will only ever help you everywhere in your personal and professional life. And objectivity. Now, this is a key skill as well, because I am very insular. I like what I like and I do what I do, but I have to be able to see the world from my customers' eyes. So my current company, we produce clean water. That's what we do. Now, for me, it's a very technical thing. It's get dirty water, run it through a system, give clean water. But for my customer, it's ridiculously important that I see it from his perspective, in that he's making sure that his, I don't know, pharmaceutical industry is providing the exact same formulation every single time. So being able to see things from others' viewpoint is critical in how we go about it. Again, with the world becoming smaller and technological advances, I could be working from a team in India, a team in China, a team in Japan, a team in America, and we all have to be able to see things the same way to be pointed in the same direction. So again, honing that objectivity is critical to the skills of the future.
Number 9, I think this one is, John.
Yeah, again, the ability to adapt to the situations in front of you. If you are here, you are probably either project managers or looking to be project managers. Everybody believes that there is point A and point B, and your project just runs nicely along that timeline. Anyone that has run a project understands that in the first few minutes you're doing really, really well, and then you're not, and then you are, and then you're not. So being able to adapt to the changing situations in the whole world. I mean, titanium going up by 60% because of the Ukraine war. Being able to manage and adapt and deal with that on the fly. Again, critical skill set for project managers of the future to ensure on time, in full delivery. And then finally, this is where I absolutely love this. This is going to revolutionize the world, and it's already in the process of doing so. This is low code, no code technologies. So at the moment, if you want to develop an app or a workflow or a system of works where it relates to software, you have to learn how to code. And it's like learning a different language. Everyone knows that that's very, very difficult. The new way of working, so the Microsoft Power Apps is a really good example, is it takes away that need to learn what happens at the back and allows you to essentially block build your programming so that things happen without you having to know all of the ins and outs of how to code. We call this citizen development, and there is a training course specifically on this, but it is the way that the whole world is moving. You will have heard of Microsoft Copilot, which is, again, it's an advancement of this low code, no code technology that is coming out in the future. So everyone will be able to solve a problem for themselves and roll that solution out to the rest of the world.
Perfect. And I think for me, there's an additional skill on here, and it's to do with AI, John. So I think for me, it's not necessarily about being an expert in AI, but I do think that now playing around with things, trying stuff like ChatGPT. PMI has an Infinity tool where you could ask questions based on project management. But getting familiar with AI is definitely something that you should be adding on into the skills that we provided here.
Yeah,
perfect. So
that will be next year's top number one. That
it will be, won't it?
Yeah.
Okay, so how do you start? So just wanted to show what we call our PMI project management learning journey here. So there are a few certifications in here. So each circle here on the right hand side represents a certification. We have one for Agile, we have one for risk, as I mentioned earlier, for business analysis. We also have portfolio and program management. Our PMP. So a lot of people actually will know PMP just as strongly as they know PMI as a brand. So PMP is our project management professional. It's our most popular certification. So that you can see it depicted here in this learning journey. Also important to remember here, two things. Number one is that these certifications are recognized globally. So you could go all over the world, and having this certification will serve you in good stead. I have a huge multinational organization who I work with on a daily basis, and they actually have what they've instated, and what he says to me is that if an individual working on any project that I am looking after does not have a PMP and a PMP that is active and so is in date, then that is almost like their passport to work. So they won't even be allowed to work on a project. So these are really important if you're looking to develop your project management skills and also develop a career in project management potentially. So if you look here on the left-hand side, we've broken this down into three stakeholders. So we've looked at if you are new to project management, so you could be in a non-specifically project management focused role. So that's on the top path there. We have young project management professionals, so people coming out of university, as we talked about earlier in the talk. And then at the bottom, we have the pure project management professionals. So what we want to focus on for the rest of the time that we have together today is the top two paths, and looking specifically at our CAPM, so our Certified Associate in Project Management. So this is a foundational knowledge builder for anyone who's looking to either improve their project management skills or either to look to kind of develop a career specifically in project management. And I can give you an example. We work with a consultancy organization who uses CAPM with all of their financial clients. So these are people sitting in finance roles, but ultimately they're leading projects on a day-to-day basis. So they don't necessarily need something like a PMP, which is more involved, but they know and they appreciate the benefit of having those good, solid foundational project management skills. And then we also have Kickoff. So Kickoff is a free to use tool. We'll talk about this again later on, but it's a free to use tool online. It takes 45 minutes at most. There's two options. There's a waterfall aspect, and then there's an agile aspect. And you could complete that 45 minutes. You can download tools and assessments, and you will also get a badge that you can share on your public profiles. And finally, before we move on to talk a bit more about CAPM in depth, all of the certifications here are enclosed in the dashboard, and what that represents is PMI membership. So having a active PMI.org online membership and also a membership with our local chapters is something that is underpinned in every learning journey that we have. So, and again, when I speak to clients, this is something that I always recommend to the people that we work with. Perfect. So just a couple of prerequisites in terms of CAPM. So you just need to have a secondary degree, and then you need 23 hours of project management education. You can gain this from your career. You just need to be able to reference a particular project you worked on. You didn't need to lead the project. You just need to prove that you had an exposure to it. There's some finer details here in terms of what the process looks like, but essentially you would complete a certification, and you would complete an application, you would complete your training, And you can do that with Firebrand. You could do that via an instructor, which is the most in-depth and holistic learning experience. And then you would qualify to take an exam. Perfect. So how can you get started? So we encourage everybody who listens to this talk to go out and complete the kickoff course. So you do this by going online on pmi.org. As we mentioned, there are two sections. There is the waterfall section, and then there is the agile section. Once you've completed the course, you'll be able to share that online publicly. If you share this online and tag Firebrand, they've been kind enough to offer a 10% discount on any course that's attended before the end of April 2024. Perfect. So that brings an end to the slides that we had prepared for everyone. So taking a few minutes, I think we have a couple of minutes left if there are any questions. Or potentially,
we've flown through that. We must have done such a good job of presenting this that there are no questions. I really like that. Well done, Manny.
Brilliant. And I think
that was exactly what I was going to say, gentlemen. You've obviously been so perfect at the presentation. There's no questions.
Perfect.
Love it,
John. You know, maybe last thing that we can finish up with is so we mentioned AI as another skill that we could add to that list. Do you think that are there any other skills that pop to your mind that we haven't mentioned in this talk?
Pretty much all of the soft skills you saw from the top 10 skills that are going to be learned going forwards. The vast majority of them were soft skills. They were skills in how people deal with people. Communication is the critical one for me. Being able to communicate digitally, verbally, and visually are absolutely the number one thing that a project manager has to do. 90% of our job is communication. And that, I think that is the key one. I think the citizen development, the being able to program without programming, I think that will help to accelerate everybody's life going forward. So I think AI and citizen development to add to that list, I think it's going to be at least a 12 item list next year.
Brilliant. Awesome.
Thank you both so much for your time. Oh, we have a question. Yeah. What is the difference? I've just had a notification.
Yeah, so it's what's the difference between PMI certifications and APM certifications? So I'm going to answer that because I've been looking into this recently. My biggest difference is that the APM certifications are very UK centric, whereas the PMP ones are global. So they're going to teach you relatively similar things. So the project management body of knowledge and the APM body of knowledge are almost identical. But like my frustration is that a lot of my customers use APM because they're UK based. So I have to train people in APM, not PMP. So that's quite frustrating. But the only real difference is APM is generally very localized to the UK and PMI certifications are absolutely global.
Absolutely. John, and look, with the organizations that I speak to on a daily basis, these are big multinational organizations and they align themselves to our solutions because it just makes sense, right? If you're operating across the world, then you need one centralized language.
And that's it. It's about having a singular language. So Lindsay's asked another question. Could we recap on some of the benefits of being a PMI member? So yes, absolutely. There is a free mentoring program, especially in the UK. There are local and international meetups for a mountain of different things. You have access to the body of knowledge. Becoming a member gives you access to I can't remember what it was, but it was like a 400-page document, which is the body of knowledge. It also gives you access to a network of 700,000 project managers globally to be able to link up with and communicate with and build your skill set on a global scale. Some of the other minor benefits is there is access to publications, not just PMI publications, but Harvard Business Review. I can't remember them all off the top of my head. There's a list as long as my arm. Yeah, volunteering opportunities to get involved in things like COP26 was actually managed and planned by the PMI UK. All of their members were managing COP26, so massive multinational involvement in huge projects. And all you have to do is dedicate a very little amount of time to be able to get that knowledge and expertise. So yeah, I think there's some of the minor things. We have a full list on our website. Feel free to have a look. Contact any of us here for what it is, how it is, and what we need to do.
Cool. I think there's
So we have
question.
Yeah, so we have a question on sponsorship. So unfortunately, PMI can't help with sponsorship. That is a business related question. So I know that there are still Prince2 as basic requirements for most job opportunities. I'm guessing that those are big infrastructure or government-led projects or jobs, because that's where Prince2 really comes into its own. That Prince2 is a monster and it's very prescriptive, whereas the PMI body of knowledge is very much an outline for how a good project should run, and it's up to you then to implement them tools in the way that suits the business that you're in.
Yeah.
So hopefully I've answered that question
Perfectly, I think.
That's great. Thank you both so much. We're definitely out of time, but thank you for the extra few minutes. We will host the recording on Fibron's YouTube channel. So if you wanted to recap and go back through, I have popped in the chat the link to PMI's website where the membership information can be found as well.
Fantastic.
On that note, thank you both ever so much, and we'll call it to a close.
Thank you very much. Thank you all.
Bye.
See you later.
Bye.